welcome back. I need to remind YK, this is not the K2 studio. This is Island studio. So please, you need to be ready. You're always talking. When the show is starting, you're conversing.
She was the one talking. Did you see that she was the one talking?
The camera was already on you.
Count it for her. Because I said what I want to say. They just
no, she's done one.
You are still in the K2. We are in the island now. Please,
yes.
YK. Be like the islandish.
Island.
Island.
Anyways, it's Wednesday on Your View, and there is this story that caught our attention, where a man who, according to him, has been a active stepfather in the life of his girlfriend's daughter for over 10 years. Now, according to him, who wants to know about what to do, pulling out financially from his stepdaughter's wedding. Anyways, the story is this man has been in this girlfriend's daughter's life for 10 years. Now, she was about to plan her wedding, and for whatever reason, her real father, her biological father, came into the picture. And he was therefore invited to walk her down the aisle. Of course, this man, who is not her stepfather yet, because he's not yet married to her mother, he's lamenting because obviously he was financially stable enough to fund most of the wedding and all the planning, because wedding takes hall, catering, decoration, the whole work. So he's done all that with his own money. So he's thinking to himself that if you cannot honor me to walk you down the aisle, would you rather invite your biological father, who has not been part of your growing up at all in any way, has not paid anything for you, but because you just feel like it's right for him to be the one to walk you down the aisle, you then invite him. So he then said he was going to pull out of that, that wedding planning. Now, that is the story we saw. However, in reality, this has happened a few times in our own country too, where a man, in fact, this one is only girlfriend, a man has married the woman, because here we don't do girlfriend thing like that. So he's married the woman, and the father has been away, never participated in raising that child. It's a deadbeat father, or he was AWOL. And suddenly, because in our culture, the honorable thing is no matter what, a child will go and find their father for that day. So culturally, family is telling her, go and look for your father. And she's thinking, oh, that's true, my father should walk me down there. So you feel that that final thing of walking down the aisle must be done by your biological father. And then your father, who has raised you as his own, feels neglected. Now, the question for the ladies is, who is wrong? Should the stepfather feel bad because culturally, because we should respect culture and tradition, culturally that day really belongs to the biological father? Or do you think things should begin to change, where fatherhood shouldn't be about your biological input, but more of your financial, economic, and social raising of a child? What do you think it should be? That's the conversation today. You can join us, 09024163440. You can also send us messages on X, also on YouTube. We'll be happy to read your messages. Yeah, who would like to go first? Okay. Nima?
So this relationship, I saw the video and it was really heartbreaking. For me, the parties, the girlfriend, her daughter, and the deadbeat absentee father are such users. They stepped out, they want to use this man for their benefits. They never deposited any kind of emotion in that relationship. And 10 years is too long for a man to be waking up to find out. They pain. You know, I can understand why he had to do the video, because I don't understand. You are not around, and even at the time when he's finding out the father now has to come, there's still no commitment from the father except that he's my father and he has to come. There was a total disregard. So the video, the man said he had requested for a guest of an addition to a 250 guests. He will be hosting in his house, because the wedding was happening in his house. To add 20 of his own friends and family members was a problem to them. So there's an extreme case of abuse and use of these people. See finish. There's not even see finish. They don't rate them from beginning. They just looked at it, okay, get money, we'll go use the money. You know, he's general. You know, some people like that, they'll blame him later. They'll come and say he gave from a place of scarcity. If you had to complain, they will have terms and all of those things. All these Englishes are, so people don't reward. People don't reward. They don't reward sacrifice. People no longer, we have different Oyibo, I've heard different Oyibo for these things, and they will be speaking it, they will be making it make sense. People even use the same term to compare a parent's sacrifice, saying, yeah, you put your hope in your child when you grow old, is because it's transactional. You want, I don't understand. Your picking that you born, you know.
Let me come to the other ladies, because I mean, I know this case seems extreme.
It's extreme.
So there's no way you can look at it, it's extreme. But there are some cases where you kind of try to understand where the biological father was coming from. There are a few things. Number one, it could be that maybe for some reason he didn't know the woman was pregnant, and he moved to a different country, and he's been trying to relocate with her. And for someone, it wasn't his fault that he was an absentee. He really wanted to be back, but because the lady was hurt, she pushed him away and didn't allow him to be in his daughter's life. He's been trying to be a part of that girl's life. Maybe towards the time as she's getting adult, she went to go and look for her father, and then found him to be a really good man. And she found the story. Now, being torn between, okay, you left me not because you wanted to, but my mom actually intentionally didn't allow you to be in my life. This man raised me. In that situation, a young woman will feel kind of torn between, should I go with my biological father, or should I go to the man who actually raised me? This has happened. This is a true story. As I said, this one is extreme. But here, in that situation, what would you say?
This is just as extreme, because I feel, you know, when we're talking about a stepfather, yes, he's a stepfather, but many stepfathers have stepped up to the plate like no other. And especially if it's been in your life, minimum 10 years or more. Some of them will say, he married my mom when I was only 4 years old. This is the only father that I know. Then in your 30th year or 35th year or whatever, you find out about your father. I think you owe your stepfather a sit down, a conversation. And if this biological father you've just described is such an honorable person, even he may say, as much as I love you and I would like to do this for you, this is the person that has been with you all these years. Let's have a conversation with him. He must understand that if the stepfather allows me to do this, I'm grateful to him, because this is his honor. This is what he should be getting for having been there for you all this time. The initial story we took and what we're saying here is really about how we respect each other. There's nothing wrong with sitting down with people and having a proper conversation. If for any reason the stepfather say, you know what, I understand what's happening here, and I would like as much as it will hurt me, it's okay if your biological father walks you down the aisle or he's part of this. But when you remove that person out of all your preparations, and then he's blindsided by different decisions, that is so disrespectful.
But that's assuming the stepfather is a nice person and civilized. Because there's some stepfathers that can be very like, what? The fact that you can even think about it in itself. Because there are some really arrogant people that don't even want to hear you to think about it, because they expect that honor.
That's a scenario. But you know there's another scenario. The father that never showed up to, that has all the entitlement and says, I'm her biological father. Who are you? How dare you? We've heard those stories. True. And then people are saying, but you've never been there. I say, but I'm her blood. Yes. I'm the one that is entitled to do this. So for me, it's just about who has been in that person's life and how much you respect him. If it was such a bad person, I mean, people have also denied their biological parents because of how toxic or how bad they were, to the point that it caused them so much, pain that they had to step away. Yeah. And so it's about the relationship itself that you have built. It's not really about the blood or no blood. Who stood there for you? Who was there when you know the days when you were ill and the person had to wake up all night, stay up all night with you?
You could have slept at one closed shop door.
Or you're going to school. Maybe even, in cases where maybe the stepfather who was in your life is not as wealthy as your biological dad, let's say. But even in his lack of means, he was making sacrifices for you.
Where do we put the place of culture and tradition? Let me tell you why. Because there's a story, which I've shared some years back, of a woman who wanted to get married. And family insisted. The man who raised her was there. Now, her father was actually dead beat. He was always getting drunk. The mother ran away from this man. They know where this man was. He's been there for 30 plus years, drunk. Family insisted that this is the man that must walk you down the aisle. They went to pick up that man from where that man was. Cleaned him up. Dressed him up for that walking down the aisle. They took him, walk your daughter down the aisle. After the wedding, they carried him back, they removed their clothes, carried him back and took him back to the bar where they found him. Because of tradition and culture. Now, the man who raised the woman felt slighted. But unfortunately, because in our own culture, he felt that, well, I can't say anything. He was hurt. But he just felt that, hey, that's what you guys decided, fine. But I know that, so where do we put the place of tradition and culture?
So tradition is not...
Let Waike jump in.
I think, you know, we have to weigh both sides. Because I know a personal experience of someone who, his stepfather brought him up, you know, and okay, this case is not walking down the aisle, but when he was going to get married, he went to look for his father. Yeah. He heard a lot of stories from his father, his real father. The mother was supposed to have not told him, didn't tell him till he was 10 about the real father. It was and I was at the wedding, and the mother saw the real father. Hey, you see the eye. She carried him and threw him down with that eye.
To shoot him.
Like, what are you doing here? But the son was like,
I want my father.
I want my father there. But the father had not done it. It was the stepfather that did everything. So, you have that filial bond with your parents. So sometimes that does not excuse you ignoring the person that spends money. I don't think it excuses.
But that is just good. We have another angle of that story. So that let me let Nima jump in here.
Okay, so I wanted to explain that culture does not mean ingratitude. You know, when families step in like that, my best friend had her father's people at her wedding. The father still could not show face because he did not acknowledge her birth. But while the parents were aging, the grandparents played their role. You know, they stepped in, don't mind him. She looks exactly like her grandmother from her father's side. So there's no denying. The woman used to come in to acknowledge, and then she passed. And then her grandmother, because they were passed. At the wedding, we saw this drama that you're describing here play out. So the mother's side, who had always raised that, they organized the wedding. They gave them one corner in the tent to play their cultural role. They sat them. Even those ones took mic and said, no matter what, people, we are happy to be here because we know that you should have gone a different way. So it does not mean ingratitude. If, for instance, the kind of example you gave, what they do in those kind of cases, they will bring the mother. In fact, there was an Ishekiri family, that one was drama. There were 3 boys. Their mother just left them when the last son was a baby, left them. And the father had to marry a woman who was childless. She raised them as if they were her own. She loved them to everything. They became men. And they wanted to do like a family event. And their mother was fighting for a chair. And say, Mother, the boys told them, Mama, you see that corner they give you? If you pass that place, they will walk you away from this place. And they honored the woman that raised them. It doesn't mean ingratitude. Culture means that you just find a way to balance and integrate. But this one is outright. They are collecting the money like this and telling him who they will bring. The invitation sent out, he ignored every of his requests. Everything is wanting. It's only the money that they are just collecting. It doesn't balance things. Those ones you cancel. In culture, when it's required, you can go and inform your father's people that you're getting married. They will say, okay, take your husband there. The traditional rites will be done. If he wants to attend, he cannot be determining how the event will go when he's not putting money on ground. Even when a woman single-handedly raises her child, she will keep quiet for the traditional rites that involves family. That's if she volunteers, or if she's a cultural person, if she submits a hair, she will say, okay, you people should continue. And you know how some families can be embarrassing. They will ask for the head of the horse, the tail of the antelope, all those kind of things.
You guys have not answered my question. In the Nigerian context, is it right for your biological father to be alive and another man who raised you to walk you down the aisle or to give you away?
It's not, and it's not about what is right.
Okay.
So, if he has played his role, you cannot bring him because he's right, it's not right for him not to be there, to upset someone you should be grateful to, who made sure you are alive.
But the one that who raised you does not want...
Even him culturally must recognize that role. When they are even drinking, you know, at our weddings, they will say, bring Shina, bring this. When he will acknowledge that person.
The man that raised you.
Yes, he must.
And to be fair, I don't know if it's even a Nigerian culture for a man to walk, for your father to walk you down the aisle.
It's to give you out.
It's a Western culture. What I mean is your family, your father's family that gives you out, or the family that raised you actually gives you out to your in-laws. So it's the father walking you down the aisle is really an Oyinbo thing. It's not what we do, because for us it's about family versus family. And I don't also think that our culture is so blind to, the intricacies that happen within a family or what it took to raise a child, that they're so blind that they would take honor away from the person that deserves it and give it to another person just because the person is biological. What I've seen that has caused a lot of sentiments really is about money, where they feel the biological person who hasn't really been part of your life, but he has money, he has status, he has, and it would be nice for the wedding. It would be nice for me so that my in-laws can see where I came from. I'm a family from this family, even though they have never recognized you or accepted you while you were growing up. But for this wedding, let me show them where I come from. You too want to insist. That's when you hear a mother saying, go to your father's family. These are your people. Because it's not really about her happiness and the person that has raised her. And I feel that that's something we need to dissuade people. Give honor to whom honor is due. And for me, it is not biological, but the person that's made the sacrifices for you while you were being raised.
So is that honorable lesson I want us to really take from this? Because the truth is that, yes, tradition is there, but sometimes you have to see things in a different perspective, in a more logical way, that, okay, this man is the only father. Because what is fatherhood? Aside from you're giving out the biological factor. Being a father is protection, is guidance, somebody who is there to raise you, to mold you. So if that person played that role, that final honor of being part of their wedding, but going to what Nima said and what Miriam said, it is the family. So your husband, your stepfather family is brown. Your own biological family is white. Now, it is the white family that should be giving you away. Although brown family are part of you, they raised you. So the question is that, would you go and meet the brown family too? I want you to give me away because to honor your son who helped me.
Can I ask you this question? Because what if the biological father was there but did not have money? There was a song like that. He was broke, but he loved his daughter. He was there for his daughter, but he did not have money. But the stepfather had money, sent her to school, did everything. On the day that it was time for wedding, the mother said it's the stepfather who has provided that must walk her down the aisle. The biological father said, just because I don't have money doesn't mean that.
Meaning that,
what does that mean?
So even if you can snatch my wife, you can snatch my girlfriend, you can't snatch my child, no matter whether I'm poor or rich. So, but it's the same father that must have deposited something. I can finish. I'm just helping.
So let's not.
So on the day of the wedding, now the friend threatened the stepfather. If you stand up, I will kill you.
The father's friend.
So the father walked. The new father walked out. But because it was the father that paid for the stepfather that paid for the wedding, had everything. They wanted the stepfather,
But was the biological father a part of her life?
Yes, but he just didn't have money.
No, then that's wrong.
Okay, let me go on a very
That's
short
also
break.
about
When we come
money.
back, we'll open up the phone
money.
lines and messages, get some our viewers involved. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.